This little instructional is on introducing your dog to a tether. A tether is where we just attach the leash somewhere so that way the dog is attached to that leash securely so we don't have to actually hold on to the leash. So in this video, we're going to start introducing a dog to a tether, and we'll go through that here in two different video clips that we're going to go over. There are a lot of different purposes for using a tether. So if we've discussed anything specific to your dog or your situation, then use the tether as we described in the session with you, following these instructions on how to introduce your dog to the tether itself. But there are a lot of different reasons that we may choose to use a tether. Some of those might be for dogs who are protective of the home. Some of it might be to teach relaxation on a dog bed or in a specific location. So there's a lot of different uses that we could use this concept for. So we're going to jump in now and take a look at two different ways that we could start introducing our dog to a tether. This is option 1. So the first step in option 1 is reward calm behavior frequently. So what I'll do is I will bring the dog over to their dog bed. I'll ask them to lie down, and then I'll start rewarding them for just calmly lying down on their bed. You may find that the dog is going to continuously stare at you because they may want more food. For now, that's okay. That's typical in the first step. If at any point your dog does get up and starts to beg or anything like that, just ask your dog to lie down again and continue reinforcing calm behavior. Before we move on to step 2, make sure that your dog is able to calmly relax on the bed with the tether before moving forward. This could take a day, this could take 2 days, 3 days, and however many sessions you need to do. So feel free to take your time with this. There's no rush or race to get to the next step. And the last tip I just want to mention about this is that your sessions need to be short and sweet. So for the first step to introduce this, it might only be a 2 or 3 minute session. Maybe for some dogs it can be 5 minutes, but it doesn't need to be this drawn out process where the dog is sitting there for 15, 20, 30 minutes or longer. So initially your first step should just be anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes before moving on to step 2. We just want this to be a positive association right now, something that the dog starts to learn. It's a good and calm place. So in step 1, if you remember, we were constantly rewarding the dog for calm behavior. In step 2, we're reducing the frequency of the rewards. So where we were maybe rewarding the dog every 5 seconds, now we might reward the dog every 10, 15, or 20 seconds. So we want to reduce the amount of rewards that the dog is receiving in step 2. Yes, nice. In step 3, we're going to reward when the dog disengages, so looks away. You'll see that here in slow motion, where when Quest looks away, I say the word yes, good girl, whatever my marker word's going to be, and I reinforce her for looking away. Now, reinforcing for disengaging and looking away is important because I don't want the dog to be hyper-fixated, staring at me the entire time. This is supposed to be a relaxation exercise, so rewarding when the dog disengages is really important to move forward. Now, step 4 is rewarding your dog for staying on the station with a distraction. So in this video right here, I'm just simply moving my camera angle. And so I had to get up from my desk to move it. It's on a tripod. And you can see that the camera was moving and that I'm just across the room and she was able to stay there. So I'm going to now reinforce her for staying there when I get back. So we're just going to look at that one more time. You can see I'm moving the camera. She stays there. She's just watching. So I'm a distraction in the environment, and she's choosing to stay there on her tether. So when I walk back over, I'm going to mark that behavior and say yes, and reward her for a job well done. So think of whatever distractions are in your home and use those to your advantage for training. Now we're on to the second option for teaching a dog to learn about the tether. In this video clip, I asked Quest to go to her dog bed, and when she went on there, I clipped her up on the tether and I gave her a dog bone. Now the video is going to get sped up here, just so that way you could see while she's distracted, chewing away, she's occupied, I'm busy doing something. I'm not rewarding her as frequent as I was in option 1. So you'll see here about 3 to 5 minutes after she's chewing, I've now reinforced her, so I've given her a little reward. So this is the second option, where you just occasionally drop a piece of food and reward them while they're chewing. I just want to mention a couple little safety precautions just in case you choose to use option 2 with a bone or some high-value chew like a food dispensing toy. The first thing is, if you have children or other dogs in the home, remember that if your dog is tethered, you shouldn't allow the children or the other dogs to have access to your dog while tethered, while chewing on their high-value item. And the reason for this is because your dog will have nowhere to go when they're tethered, which means they might actually feel threatened and choose to protect the item that they have in their possession. And that can lead to an accident. So we don't want that happening. We want to avoid that. So that's the first thing. And the last thing I just want to leave you with is, if your dog is chewing on the bone and it's getting to be too small, or you've reached the end of your session and you need to wrap things up, don't just go in and snatch the item away from your dog, because just like I was explaining how your dog could be protective towards the children or your other dog in the home, the same thing could be true for this situation as well. So if you need to remove the item, then I always suggest just trading it out with a few pieces of very high value treats by tossing them off to the side so your dog can choose to go eat the treats. And then at that point, while your dog is eating the treats, you can remove the item off of the dog bed.